Kentucky running back Ray Davis is one of the more underrated prospects in the 2024 NFL draft class. He's going down to the Senior Bowl next week. I'm going to tell you about this game and what the Senior Bowl can do for him. This and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout and a senior draft analyst. And guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. I'm solo dolo today, guys. We're going to be talking about running back out of Kentucky, Ray Davis. Why is he underrated and what could the Senior Bowl do for him? But we're talking about more Senior Bowl guys as well, all right? Jaylen Simpson, safety, nickel, cornerback from Auburn. How can he improve his draft stock? And what does he bring to the table? And the same thing for Ohio State linebacker, Tommy Eichenberg. But guys, before we get into that, let's talk about this. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Ray Davis. Guys, listen to that. What's 5'10", 215, 216 pounds, and a guy that I truly was impressed by. You talk about a low center of gravity, bowling ball type of build, right? Squatty frame, good contact balance. You know, a guy that's scheme versatile, right? During this time at Kentucky, you know, these last 2 years, you know, he's run, you know, this last year, I'm sorry, you know, he's run zone and gap, but then also he spent time at Vanderbilt, zone and gap. Like he runs both of them, both offenses. He can fit in any NFL running scheme. And that's what's so important, in my opinion, when you have a guy like this who can fit any running scheme, right? It's a lot of times you see if he's a zone guy or he's a gap guy. It's rarely you see, especially in today's NFL, that you have running backs that will fit both. And when I look at Ray Davis, I see a guy that fits both, okay? And what I really liked about him, good vision, but he's really patient. You're talking about allowing blocks to set up in front of him, allow his offensive linemen to climb to the second level, allow those guys to get up, engage, make contact, and then he's got really bouncy, nimble, quick feet. You want to talk about or discuss a back that can exchange gaps when running between the tackles, but also be a one-cut hitter in the zone game. Right? He's patient on toss sweeps and plays on the outside. But here's where I think he can really shine at the Senior Bowl. It's going to be the one-on-ones with linebackers, the pass catching reps, right? This is a guy that, truthfully, when I was just watching the tape on him, I said, hey, like there's absolutely something with what he brings to the table. Okay. Coming off a season this year, you know, just from a rushing standpoint, 197 rush attempts, 1,131 rush yards, almost 6 yards per carry, 14 rushing touchdowns, only 1 fumble. So, guys, he protects the football, right? But then in the receiving game, as I was alluding to or getting to, he was targeted 39 times. He caught 32 of those for 324 yards, okay? And you know, he had like 2 drops on the season. This is a young man that can run a variety of routes out of the backfield. You're talking about the angle route, the Texas route, hitting into the flats. They even, I think it was against Missouri, where they motioned him out and they lined him up in the slot in a condensed formation, and he ran kind of a wheel. And because, again, he's a running back, so, you know, you don't expect running backs to kind of push vertical in the passing game and be targeted, but he was targeted in the red zone, and he caught the ball for a touchdown. So you see a variety of ways to use him, and I think getting him on, you know, to the Senior Bowl, getting him into the offense, and allowing him to be a playmaker. I think he can do that, guys. I grade him as a low 3rd round pick, so late day 2, early day 3 range for me. Now, where's the thing I'm really looking to figure out and gauge? His speed. I want to gauge his speed and his explosiveness in person. When I watched the tape, I didn't feel that he was the most explosive back. But again, when we see the Kyron Williams of the world, right? We've seen, just different style backs that aren't the most explosive or dynamic walk into the league and just make plays, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Austin Eckler, especially early on, was a more dynamic, explosive back. But even as that kind of dwindled down a little bit, he was still a he was still a good back. It didn't matter, right? And you think about, again, 5'10", 5'11". I think he's listed, he's at 5'10", 215, 216. So he might be 5'9", 215, right? He could be 5'10". We'll get that measurement at the Senior Bowl and know exactly how tall he is and how much he weighs. Because again, I just look at this young man and I say, hey, like, he can get the job done. I want to see him improve in pass pro. That's another thing. And when those one-on-ones, it's not just hey, I get to run routes on linebackers and cook guys. Now it's, okay, what do I do when they're running full speed downhill and I got to protect the quarterback? I think when I watched the film, I felt like this was a young man that needed to improve his hand technique when it comes down to playing, keeping his base square, but also getting his hands fitted into the shoulder pads and into the chest plate of the defender, right? So that you can use your physical strength. Contact balance is there, patience is there, vision is there. Like in open field, he has enough juice to generate big plays. He had a 75-yard touchdown run against Florida when he was given a runway on kind of a counter play, and just took it, and he wasn't caught, right? Guys made up ground, so that's what you see, like that third gear or second gear, true second gear. He may not have that, right? But I do believe that this is a young man that can be very effective as a runner, but also very effective as a receiver. But again, there's just some things down at the Senior Bowl I need to see, that we need to see as a family, as a community, guys, so we can know, all right, how high should you go, right? And how comfortable am I with you? Is he going to be a guy that dominates out there, where teams are saying, you know what, he could be our not wide receiver, he could be our RB1, our running back one, or is he going to be a good RB2, change the pace guy? Because I think he can do that as well. All I know is, you think about teams like the Detroit Lions, like that you want to have a sturdy frame and kind of, a guy that runs hard and runs physical. And everything, a pair with like a Jahmyr Gibbs after David Montgomery more than likely walks into free agency. I think Ray Davis can do that for you, right? And then he also gives you the pass catching ability as well. We're going to see, again, if he comes in at 5'9", 5'8", that might change the evaluation a little bit, especially for NFL teams. But nonetheless, guys, talented player, underrated in my opinion, and I'm very, very, very excited to see him down in Mobile next week. Can't wait to be boots on the ground, walking around on the field, on the sideline, seeing up close and personal what these players look like and what they're bringing to the table and how they're taking coaching. We want to talk about taking coaching. Jaylen Simpson from Auburn, going from cornerback out of necessity, not because he had to play it, but because they needed him. Going from corner to safety. You talk about coachability. You love that. So we're going to talk about the safety corner hybrid out of Auburn, Jaylen Simpson, and what he brings to the table and what the Senior Bowl means for him. Talk about this and more coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Guys, we wrapped up Christmas. We've wrapped up the NFL regular season. But there's still time to get in on the action with the conference championship in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, guys, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. It does not matter, okay? Like I said, win or lose. That's a deal you don't want to pass up on. That's my personal opinion, okay? The app is super easy to use. There's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. The best way to find those popular money-making parlays, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make your first bet a layup. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make your first bet a layup, because FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Jaylen Simpson, safety, nickel corner from the University of Auburn. And guys, listed at 6'1", 178, 180 pounds. This young man is one of the better coverage defenders in this class, right? A guy that can play man-to-man, a guy that's really good in zone. He has great eyes and instincts. You're talking about that transition from playing corner to safety. It's not an easy one because you have to develop what they call safety eyes, right? Eyes of playing deep in the back end, right? Because then especially if you're single high, you have the responsibility of reading everything and all the route concepts. You're the deepest of the deep. You can't let anybody get deeper than you in the back, right? Can't let nobody take the top off of the defense because that's what you're for. You're the top of the defense, right? But it's not easy to go from corner to safety and do that. Jaylen Simpson has done that. His instincts, guys, against Georgia, he had an interception where he's playing, looks like trap coverage. He fakes like he's bailing out the drop off into the deep hash, and then he triggers back downhill on the underneath route and steals it and just robs the receiver of the ball, right? Playing robber technique, trap coverage. It was amazing. Outstanding stuff from Jaylen Simpson, right? He plays with a really good motor, an attitude that I appreciate and I really like from him and from his game. But also, again, he could also, in that same game, he showed the ability to go man to man against the elite tight end that is Brock Bowers. In the high red zone, they targeted Brock. It was cover zero, man to man across the board, no safety deep, right? He was the safety on the field. He was man to man with Brock Bowers. They ran a skinny post, and he drove on it from depth. Right, he's playing like 7 yards, 8 yards off, so he's giving cushion. He gets to his spot, his landmark, and he drove. Talking about click and close and drive downfield, and then the physicality and the wherewithal to play through the hands, punch through the pocket, knock the hands down of Brock Bowers. Right, a bigger, more physical player on the offensive side of the ball than a Jaylen Simpson. And what did he do? He did that and forced a pass breakup. Okay. Not only that, he was playing kind of a robber technique in the middle of the field again, triggered down on another quick end breaker, made a big hit, right? Nice, again, he's 180 pounds, so you're not expecting Sean Taylor, Troy Polamalu. You're not expecting Ed Reed type of crazy bona fide hits, but he made a nice, strong hit, big thump, big impact, wrapped up, and ran his feet to drive the guy, the best he could backwards and get him to the ground, right? Now, what I need to see from him in Mobile, those run fits where I see a guy that isn't the most enthused. I feel like he does make some business decisions in the run game. Now it's flashes, right? You see him trigger downhill and try to make a tackle when it's one-on-one, okay? But again, it's more so, all right, make the tackle, but he kind of whiffs, so he dives at legs. He gets, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see how he handles those run fit responsibilities in Mobile, because one thing about it is when they go to the run game, it's physicality, baby. It's hat on the hat. You got to run the alley, and if you run the alley, because we've seen it, right? Was it Darnell Savage, Jonathan Owens, when the Green Bay Packers had to stop Christian McCaffrey? Neither one of those guys made plays. Both of them gave up touchdowns due to not being physical in the alley and not tackling with actual form and technique. Okay, you can't throw a chicken wing at a strong running back. It just doesn't work. So I want to see him in those situations, and I think he's going to open a lot of eyes. I think that he can improve his own draft stock when they get to the one-on-ones. I think this is not like, listen, they got him listed as a safety. I truly believe he can play nickel corner, and I think he can play outside corner as well. He got good, strong, he got strong ball skills. Okay, I think 14 pass breakups in his career to, I believe it's 4 interceptions, if I remember correctly. So this is a young man who in his career, 3 years starting or getting over 500 snaps and over 300 snaps in coverage over the last 3 years. Each of the last 3 years, he has not given up in a single season 300 yards receiving, right? And I think two of those seasons came at corner. Yes, 2021, 2022 was at corner, and then 2023 he played, again, versatility. He played 150 snaps in the box, 299 snaps at free safety, 195 snaps in the slot. So he's a jack of all trades, and I think he's a master in coverage. So, and you talk about what he's allowed, 7, what he's done and accounted for, 7 interceptions in his career. Okay, spent 5 years at Auburn. Really, truly starting the last 3. He barely played the first 2 years. So, so I think the first year he was redshirted as well. So 7 interceptions, 14 pass breakups. So this is a guy that gets around the football, but he gets his hand on the football and he makes something happen. He makes plays happen. And talented defender, guys. And I think this is a young man that you feel comfortable with, you feel good about, and you're happy with it, right? Like, so I think that's a big thing in my honest opinion. So, I think the one-on-ones are going to be big for him. I think the ability to showcase and say, hey, listen, I will make plays in the run game, right? I think that is going to be paramount and pivotal for him because, again, if you go into this situation, man, and you do not, and I mean you do not handle it the right way, guys, I'm just being honest with you. You will absolutely, it won't go well. It won't go well. With the running backs they have down there, there's going to be guys that can make you miss in the lane. There's guys that can run hard and run physical downhill. Yes, guys that already had the natural low center of gravity to their advantage. Yeah, I want to see how those run fits work for him. But I want to gauge it and be able to see up close and personal what his body type is like. Is he a wiry frame guy? Because if you listen to this podcast for months now, we talk about USC Trojan safety Kalen Bullock and him not being a great tackler. He's an outstanding coverage guy, especially with his range and everything. But when you're the last line of defense, you got to be able to tackle. And you got to be able to bring a element of physicality to the game that Kalen Bullock doesn't bring. Will Jaylen Simpson be able to showcase that and bring that down at the Senior Bowl? We're going to find out all of next week. But guys, I can't wait. Jaylen Simpson, 6'1", 180 pounds, safety, nickel cornerback for the University of Auburn. This is a young man I think that can really help himself if he has a good, strong week down in Mobile. But talking about another guy that needs to have a strong week, Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker, throwback style linebacker from the University of Ohio State. The Ohio State as they call it. A big, strong kid, but he's got some questions about his athleticism. So we're going to talk about this and more coming up next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. And right now, all users get $100 off when they buy a big game ticket with the code Vegas100. Guys, what are some of the things that you will love about the Gametime app experience that I love? Last minute tickets. Their tickets are easy to find and buy, and they show the views from all the seats in the venue so you know what vantage point you will have before you purchase. Also, guys, what I truly love, they give you a peace of mind with your purchase. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. And you buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. All right, you're gonna love that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Right now, all Gametime users get $100 off a big game ticket with the code Vegas100. Okay, so download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed, guys. Ohio State linebacker Tommy Eichenberg, one of the, like, in the summertime, guys. I don't know if you for those who weren't here, if you weren't an everydayer back in summer of 2023, you didn't know how I felt about him. But I really liked what I saw from Tommy Eichenberg in 2022, right? A guy, he had 90 tackles, 68 run stops, 4 sacks, 4 QB hits, 15 hurries. And this is as an off-ball linebacker, guys. So it kind of speaks to what he was able to do, right? 3 pass breakups last year in 2022, interception in 2022, but things kind of tapered off and went a little bit further downhill in 2023. Only 2 pass breakups, no interceptions, only 1 sack, only 2 QB hits, only 8 hurries. Okay, run stops dropped from 68 to 31. Yeah, he gave him more yards per catch in coverage. So what does he bring to the table, right? Listed at what, 6'2", 240 pounds, high instinct, high IQ guy that allows him to play faster than his limited athleticism would allow, right? Because he sees things a lot of times before it's, as it's developing and before it finishes out. A guy that plays downhill well, as you heard me read off his numbers, especially from 2022. That's the version that's the best because you get a guy that's a really outstanding blitzer, times his blitzes well. He's talking about delayed blitzes, cross dogs, and everything like that. a guy that will do a great job kind of dropping up, showing, mugging the A gap, faking the drop off into coverage, gets the center to turn his head, and then fires off downhill and gets into the face of the quarterback. But then also, he's just better downhill, period. Right? Physical tackler in the run game, a guy that will, just really squeeze gaps and leverage gaps, but also a guy that will trigger into run lanes and make contact and make plays happen, guys. Absolutely love that about his game. I do. A guy that you're talking about putting him as a weak side backer or a strong side backer where he's playing hash the sideline. And that's going to be the key for him, right? I think he's not really good, but I think he's a good zone dropper. Getting to his landmarks, getting to his spots, keeping the head on the swivel, reading concepts. That's why he was able to, have a couple interceptions over the past couple years, things of that nature. But the athleticism is where we're going to really find out the truth about his athleticism and how well he moves in space down at the Senior Bowl. Like, remember, guys, keep telling you, man, we will be at the Senior Bowl on the ground. All right, not just up in the stands, but on the actual grass, like on the practice field, walking around, seeing what's going on, and being close up, right? So having that opportunity, having that ability to do that, and what that means is be able to really gauge the change of direction, the burst, right? Different things like that, the acceleration from guys, just being able to gauge that better. And I think the one-on-ones against these running backs, right? You think about the Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis, who I talked about earlier, Dylan Laub, listen. Dylan Laub can play slot receiver, guys. Like, he's an outstanding receiver and route runner. So you wonder, all right, how will Tommy Eichenberg hold up? How will he hold up in practice? And if he ends up playing in the game on Saturday, how will he hold up? We're going to find out next week, because that's going to be the big thing. Can you go man to man? Can you handle these option routes? Can you handle the Texas routes? Can you handle when they're running the corner route out of the backfield with the running back? How do you handle, can you have value as a man-to-man defender, or, to where if teams motion out the running back and you're in man-to-man, your defensive coordinator doesn't immediately say, hey, no, zone, kill, and they kill the call, they switch it into a zone because you're a liability, or do they feel like, okay, as long as you can be adequate, fine, we're going to give you 5 yards of cushion, read it, react, and go from there. I think that's going to be the big thing. And honestly, in all of my opinion, I think that's going to be the biggest part with Tommy Eichenberg. But again, he's got NFL size. He reminded me in the summer of Jack Campbell, who is balling out and playing well for the Detroit Lions as they go to the NFC Championship game, right? Just draft good players. So I think I gave him a day 2 grade, late third round. I think is where you will see the value for a Tommy Eichenberg. But we're going to learn a lot about Tommy Eichenberg and his skill set and his game down in Mobile next week, guys. So listen, you need a linebacker, you need an off-ball backer that's headsy, instinctive, smart, everything. You will get that in him, but you got to figure out what type of athlete he actually is. But guys, that's our show, man. Talking about some of Dame's diamonds and talking about these Senior Bowl prospects and what they can gain at the Senior Bowl. Ray Davis, running back from Kentucky, Jaylen Simpson, safety, nickel, corner from Auburn, and then off-ball linebacker Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State, the Ohio State guys. But listen, as always, man, we appreciate you guys. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, man. We really appreciate it. We have more Senior Bowl conversations coming up. Listen, we had Jim Nagy on the show this past weekend. Please go back and tap into that and enjoy that, because he gave us some nice nuggets on how the NFL feels about certain prospects and everything. And listen, on the audio side, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all right, all the audio spots, guys. Listen, what do I always tell you? Simple. Go and hit subscribe, hit automatic downloads, leave a 5-star comment and review, man. Show us the love, man. Let's keep pumping this podcast up. You guys are doing an amazing job on YouTube, but I want you guys, and the numbers on the audio side look fantastic. We appreciate the love and support, but let's just continue to pump this thing up. Give us those 5-star comments and reviews, guys. We appreciate everything, all of you guys, for being our every single day. So listen, I'm Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. My partner in crime, Keith Sanchez, is not with me but you can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. So talk to us, because we always talk back, and come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.